all know someone who's their own worst enemy, but what if that person is you? Ever felt stuck in a loop of bad decisions? Or find yourself blowing up at your partner over nothing? Do you tend to ghost good opportunities? Or avoid that nagging voice inside telling you there's better things to be doing than doom scrolling through socials? Well, what if those weren't just bad days, or bad luck phases ruled by Sod's law? What if those behaviors proved that something much darker was going on inside, wrecking your life at opportune moments? Ever heard of your shadow self? A silent force buried within us all, which steers our path by calling all the shots. Welcome to a tidy dose of self-help. In this video titled Your Darkest Truth, this subject will touch upon Carl Jung's exploration of the secret to ending inner conflict. Chapter 1. What is your shadow self? Today, we're unpacking this game-changing idea that Jung claimed we all have a shadow self, a subtle yet undeniable aspect of human nature that hides behind brave faces, cleverly remaining obscured by all the standard stuff we do and the mundane motions we go through every day. Our shadow self is made up of all the suppressed issues about ourselves that have embedded deep within us since childhood. The type of personality traits that we'd rather not admit are influencing us from within. The secret feelings that linger behind our eyes, our thoughts that see the world from a much darker perspective than our cognitive mind. By trying to deny our shadow exists, we force it to feed on our darkest thoughts, which makes us repeat our destructive patterns. But if we turn that notion upside down, we shatter its biggest strength over us, which is its preference to remain invisible. Acknowledging its existence is the best way to unravel the mystery and diffuse its impact on our lives. And by facing this subject head-on, we unlock our potential to take back control of our lives. So by talking about it and admitting its existence, we can eventually master the nature of our subconscious workings. If any of this sounds familiar, then you need to hang on for the next bit, because Jung may well have cracked the code to overcoming all this. Chapter 2. Jungian Code. Explosive relationships, failed diets, abandoned dreams and behavioral regrets. These can all be blamed on destructive patterns of self-sabotage. Just like that friend who keeps dating the same toxic type of partner, or the addict who quickly spirals from a tiny binge into a disastrous bender. Jung says it's your shadow projecting our unresolved junk onto others that creates these vicious cycles. Ever sabotage your own success on a private project? Or flunk your progress at work as soon as your goal is finally within reach? It's quite likely that that's the ominous shadow we're talking about. It convinces you to enjoy the struggle of trying to achieve something more than the accomplishment of your effort's outcomes. By ignoring the shadow's negative affirmations, you're doomed to repeat those downfalls through life. It's best instead to ask where self-deprecating thoughts like "you're not worthy" or "you'll never do it" come from, with a view to proving them wrong. Rage quitting jobs or rejecting friendships through justifications that the problem isn't you is usually a sign that it's not them at all. It's most likely you, driven by levels of suppressed anger that have festered beneath the surface too long. And once that anger bubbles up under pressure, it's forced to explode to find an escape. This is what ensures that history repeats itself until you confront it. Stick around, because in a bit, we'll examine a fictional character's showdown with his raging shadow self to illustrate a case in point, and by the end, you may well spot your own shadow, just enough to garner the courage to initiate your own liberation from it. But first, let's take a look at Jung's bio and background to see where this grandiose idea came from. Chapter 3. The Man Himself. Born in 1875 in Switzerland, Carl Gustav Jung wasn't your average boy destined to become a famous doctor. He was the son of a pastor. His youth saw him obsessed with dreams, myths, and the occult, the kind of subjects that made his religious family weary and left them disapproving of his insights. By his teens, he was having full-blown visions of ghostly figures and exploding knives. So it's fair to say he didn't have the standard puberty that most of us went through. Fast forward to med school, where Jung dives into psychiatry. Landing a gig at a Burghölzli asylum, he meets Sigmund Freud in 1907, and they hit it off like intellectual soulmates. Freud even called Jung his crown prince, until cracks started to form. Freud's obsession with repressed sexuality proved a bit too restrictive for Jung. Carl's much wider views regarding a collective unconscious involved cosmic aspects like archetypes, and of course, the ominous shadow we're discussing here today. Within 6 years, their bromance imploded, sending Jung into his own creative illness that lasted a further 6 years. This is when Jung's visions and writings defined his introspective phase, which culminated in his masterpiece theory of everyone having a secret dark side he called the shadow, which he summarized as being the driving force behind most of our subconscious actions. When society frowns upon traits like greed, lust, and anger, they remain buried deep down, wallowing in shame. This forces them to lurk in the dank basement of our psyche. Chapter 4. The Red Book. Here's the twist. Jung had a secret, a Red Book journal that he filled with painted visions. This book is proof that his shadow theory was born from first-hand experience, rather than the speculation of ideation. By confronting his own shadows of demonic figures and wise old men in his own way, Jung discovered a natural form of harsh therapy, which ultimately saved him from outright madness. This depth of insight and therapeutic reflection led Jung to believe that the mass ignorance of the shadow self is what leads to wars on Earth. Jung warned us that unconfronted shadows don't vanish, they leak out, causing personal and global chaos. Considering the social media rants and cancel culture of today, perhaps we are seeing projections of our collective shadow exploding online. When Jung addressed this shadow phenomenon, he was describing the hidden self as parts of us that contradict our shiny egos, sometimes in the starkest of contrasts. Maybe you're the nice guy who buries rage, or the overachiever who only does so to hide an internal laziness, none of which is evil. It's just unnatural, unfiltered, unapologetic selves, suppressed into dangerous forms of stifled expression that evolve into damaging levels of inner denial. To ignore such negative aspect of ourselves to the point that they repeatedly erupt into destructive patterns that ruin or dominate our lives is a natural tendency that Jung called enantiodromia, which describes this habit of flipping both extremes, like when love turns to hate overnight, or friends become enemies due to one single act. Chapter 5. Meet Alex. To bring this idea home and actively demonstrate its meaning, let's meet Alex, a fictional every person inspired by Jung's cases. Alex is a stressed-out office worker, your classic people pleaser. He always agrees and says yes to everything in his bid to avoid conflict so he can climb the corporate ladder. But lately, other workers have noticed that his patterns have started to repeat. Deadlines are missed because he ghosts the schedule when the going gets tough. He's been snapping at colleagues over tiny stuff and having to apologize more often. He spends longer in the toilet or on smoke breaks and has thrown a few sickies lately. Avoiding meetings and opting out of those team-building tasks seemed all the more obvious when he dodged the Christmas dinner and lost that report file that his boss was waiting for. Sound familiar? One night, Alex dreams of a shadowy figure, his doppelganger. Wild and unhinged in his mind, this dreamy figure smashed through his perfect life and ends up screaming at key characters in his life as he puts the world to rights. Upon waking, shaken and disturbed, the strong memory of that dream seems so significant that he finds the courage to journal it, which ends up becoming his only chance of therapizing that rage and confronting his inner frustrations. This exploration of DIY therapy lets him use creative integration to avoid those fight or flight tendencies. And this sort of harmless self-reflection is healthy. It has helped diffuse the adult anger stemming from the controlling childhood that dissolved his creativity for a career of social stability. And now, when he returns to work, he feels an overwhelming sense of calm and forgiveness. Having faced his inner turmoil, he has come to realize that his anger is his own, not derived from the external forces of his work environment, nor the actions of his colleagues. Those inciting events are merely the stick that prodded his existing irritations, which had been boiling up over time, to the point of provocation. Chapter 6. Action Plan. So here's a 3-step action plan that will help to encapsulate a reliable antidote to humanity's animalistic shadow nature. Step 1. admission is essential. By acknowledging his anger, Alex realizes he's not just the nice guy that his outer skin portrays. He's also riddled with anger inside. And this truth needs to be acknowledged in order to be dealt with in a productive manner. Step 2. Inner dialogue is crucial. Jung suggested using what he called an active imagination, by literally talking to our shadow like a character. Asking it things like, "What do you want?" helps us to realize that our shadow craves adventure and drama, not stifled suppression and overlooked expression. Step 3. Integration is critical. By acting on what he'd learned from such an important insight, Alex realizes he needs to quit his soul-sucking job. As soon as he starts a passion project he'd put off for decades, it becomes his main form of income and provides his soul with purpose and happiness. By following his truer path and letting his shadow reveal his anger, he had no more reason to repeat that same self-sabotage for years to come. You could say that by shedding light on his demons, his inner conflict had come to an end. Imagine how stark this technique must have been for Jung to discover all this on his own, by doing it to himself without any real option. In his autobiography, he describes facing the anima and other archetypes to turn our inner war into outward wisdoms, which is why future videos like this one will explore similar themes for designed to advantage our viewers. Some critics say that Jung was too mystical, flirting with the occult, but he saw shadows as signals, not curses, and his ideas weren't confined to psychologists' offices. World War I made him observe humanity's shadows in action, as entire nations used propaganda to project evil onto their enemies, justifying the war. If you consider our modern vibe concerning the mental health of society, Jung's ideas are still very prevalent among society. And although some might think Jung is too woo-woo, others swear it has helped them break free of addiction and toxic relationship cycles. So what's the hot takeaway here? As one online post put it, it seems that Jung's work predicted our cancel culture, when you consider how everyone uses it to project their shadow selves. Chapter 7. Applying this knowledge. Ready to try Jung's secret and put some of his wisdom to work? You don't need a PhD in psychology, just the propensity to test intelligent information, rather than reject it. Write out your life on paper. Creating a map of your major events in life will identify numerous patterns, which will help to identify exactly where and when certain destructive habits have repeated. Honest forms of observation that use your intellect to employ a logical approach can identify shadow alerts that flag our destructive habits. This simple yet proactive exercise can help to counter road rage, avoidance syndromes, or escapist symptoms that often trigger upheaval and chaos, and can, in turn, allow new levels of harmony necessary to find our true purpose. Dream diving as a powerful tool. A big advocate of the importance of dreams, Jung considered our sleeping state as a blessing. He strongly believed that by unraveling the meaning of our dreams, we are better equipped to analyze and accept our true self. So note your dreams down by embracing the discipline of journaling every morning. This level of conscious monitoring will strengthen your memory recall and reinforce your true nature through the intellectual process of revealing what's lurking beneath the pleasant projection of your external persona. Reflections in the mirror. By asking, what drives me mad? What do I detest? And what traits do I hate in others? You can quickly identify some of your own flaws, because those type of disdain often reflect the traits that our shadow self is projecting. Psychology circles have said for years that the things we hate about others and those actions of others that really grate on us are usually the same things about ourselves that we are unable to tolerate. Integrate gently. The safest way to allow suppressed feelings, stifled thoughts, and inner anger to surface is through the use of arts, crafts, exercise, and creative expression. Self-improvement and other disciplines, like learning, music, breathwork, and physical movement, all provide healthy integrations, as can household chores and constructive labor such as gardening, repairs, cooking, or cleaning. Even voluntary work like communal care or service to others all provide rewarding forms of soul therapy that can help to release anger and express inner aspirations. Conclusion. Quick warning, things can get messy. Jung said this process can become a powerful form of transformative alchemy like turning the lead of your shadow into the gold of your potential wholeness. The challenge can be overwhelming or all-consuming, and to some degree painful. But skipping these underlying workings of life, you could be faced with more inner conflict and soul-trap loops than you dare to dream of. And remember, the dark side of your soul isn't your enemy, it's supposed to be your teacher.